What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the dream sheet process, how base assignments work, and what you should keep in mind about them. Before we get into that, let's cover the basics. My name is Michael Inman and I'm an airman in the United States Air Force. I upload a video every Monday, so if you like military and/or Air Force content, definitely hit the subscribe button and make sure to turn the notification bell to on so you know when I upload a brand new video. Let's get into it. So it is finally time to discuss the eternally infamous dream sheet. Does it work? Does it do anything? Can it get you the base you want? We're going to unpack all of that. But before we get into that, I do want to let you guys know there are a couple disclaimers. I think I counted 5, so I'm just putting it out there. But first and foremost, let's rewind to my dream sheet day. The day in which my flight, was walked to some random building. I never know where I am. And of course, we took the time to fill out our dream sheet. And so when I rewind back to that day, it was actually a very exciting day. Usually during BMT, you're going to just be taking classes, going to breakfast, going to lunch, going to dinner, and doing PT somewhere in the middle of the day. So when you have something unique, especially something as monumentous as getting to say where you want to be based for the next few years of your life, it really matters. And so with that, when I remember back on the day my flight got to do that, it was quite an exciting day. And from the beginning of the day, people were of course exchanging opinions. I want this base. I hope I don't get this base. I want that base. And so that is of course how the day begins. Also, it's worth mentioning that this day actually usually happens quite far into your BMT experience. So people are definitely looking forward to it and also are getting antsy to finally communicate their base desires. But anywho, after the march to this building, the day and/or the process starts off with a really big book. We sit out, or you will be sitting in a large room with lots of chairs at desks, and there will be a book either at each desk or all the way to the right, in which the person all the way to the right will just pass all of the books on their desk down the row, each of you in the row. Within these books, it's quite practical. There is a list in which all of the Air Force jobs available are in the book, and then under each of those jobs are all of the bases in which you have the opportunity to go. And this actually introduces us to the first disclaimer. So, when you see that there are, let's say, 15 different bases in which your job can choose from, it is important to note that what is the skill level required listed next to that location. Meaning, let's say for example, I work in personnel. I will see that personnel has, let's say, 30 bases available to me. But interestingly, by the last 12 on the page, or in the area that is for personnel, there's a 5 or a 7 at the end of the AFSC number. So, the full code ending with a 5 or 7. That 5 or 7 indicates the skill level you have to be to go to that base for that job. Meaning, yes, you may be personnel, but after tech school, you are going to be ending with a 3. Meaning, that base is like, don't send us no 3s. We only take 5 or 7s. They don't know what they're doing, and we're not training them. Unfortunately, that is how it is. So, that is the first nuance or, disclaimer that you should be aware of, is when you look at the full list of bases available to you, of course, you also need to look at what is the skill level, and of course, more importantly, which bases accept level 3s, which is what you will be after tech school. And the second thing that you should probably note, so let's make this a second disclaimer, is there will be 2 columns on your dream sheet, one for Conus and one for oconus. Conus being the continental United States, and oconus being outside of the continental United States. Now, when they say outside of the continental US, it's important to note that when we think US, we include Alaska and Hawaii. They do not, whoever the they is. So, oconus also includes Hawaii and Alaska and every other country you could think of course. Now, when you are selecting your 10 dream sheet base assignments, those are the first two things that you need to analyze. One, how many do I want from my 10 I get to choose? How many do I want to be within the continental United States, and how many do I want to be outside the continental United States? And it's entirely based on personal preference. And then of course, when picking your bases, you need to be mindful of the skill level and if they have 3 levels at that particular base when you're choosing your favorites. Now, let's move on to the big, scary, sad, and oppressive fact in the room. At the end of the day, whatever you put on your dream sheet, it's all just a subtle request. It's a, this would be nice. Think of your dream sheet as a, this would be nice, boss. What are your thoughts? Because at the end of the day, and you've heard it throughout BMT, it's all about the needs of the Air Force. And so the way to realistically think about your dream sheet is, hi, Air Force. Hi, Big Air Force. How are you? So I know you have some needs that I'm here to help with. I was wondering if any of those needs, meaning you need, 50 people in like Alaska, let's say Alaska. Yeah, well, if you need 50 people and there's 200 of us, and I happen to put Alaska as my number 1 because I really like mooses, can you just kind of make that work? Because, you just need any 50, and I really want to go to Alaska. So, can you just blend these two, priorities? Your priority and my priority, blend them into a single act that makes both, come to fruition. So that is how I think the big computer of the Air Force does it. These are our needs. Now let's do a scan of this dream sheet and see if any of these desires overlap very nicely with the needs that we already had. And that is what the dream sheet is. Now let's start talking about the other things you probably should know. The next disclaimer, yes, is some of y'all, unfortunately, when you go into the big book of exciting options, will only have like 3, maybe 2 bases that your job can go to. And if you feel salty about it, you should. Because it's kind of weird. It's kind of unfortunate that these other individuals, depending upon the job, like I said, personnel is a great example, will literally have 15 bases they can just scroll through and choose and, write it on their sheet. And when you find your job, and you find the bases open to your skill level, you will have 2 things you can write. So what's the point of the dream sheet? What is the point? In those situations, it's unfortunate, but I think you have to fill out the dream sheet anyway. So do your duty. But just understand that's the first thing I wanted to let you guys know about. Some of y'all will be salty when you open up that big old book. Next, it's important to note, little disclaimer, that though the base assign or base preference day is very exciting, it's slightly anticlimactic because you don't actually find out your base at all during your BMT experience. You will receive an assignment notification on your first base during tech school, most likely near the end of your tech school, or maybe in the middle if you're lucky. But that is when you will receive your notification. You'll be informed to check your portal. And so it's just something to understand that yes, one, you do want to do the dream sheet. Don't just opt out, because if you opt out and you get something you don't like, ain't nobody trying to hear you complain because you didn't even try. Okay, am I wrong? Am I wrong? So do complete the dream sheet, but understand that it's just going to be a mystery to you on how it all works out for a couple months. The next thing that I wanted to inform you guys about, and though it seems a little bit obvious, it just has to be said. Some of you, well, very few, some of you will get your 1, 2, or 3, like your top 3 preferences, one of your actual base assignment will be one of those 3. And it's gonna be glorious. It's gonna be a wonderful day. You're gonna have a great day. Now, some of you are gonna get 9 and 10, or 9 or 10. And you're gonna be like, I'm so happy I got something from my, my dream sheet, I guess. But if you're gonna give me something from my dream sheet, couldn't it have been maybe higher on the list? Again, this is a random process. It feels very random. So unfortunately, you just need to be grateful that there was something from your dream sheet that happened to work up with the larger algorithm, Because I don't know the stats, but it seems that most people aren't going to have a darn thing from their list. And so at least you got something. The next tidbit of information that may be important to your perception of the dream sheet process is that your assignment, after you are notified about it in tech school, can be changed after you were notified. It goes like this. Hey, you get an email or your MTL or something says your assignment's in, or maybe your whole class in tech school. They're like, hey guys, you all need to check the portal because your assignment should be in based on how far you're in tech school. Congrats. So you check it, you get a base, you're happy or you're sad. Not relevant to this particular story. And then 3 weeks later, or maybe a month goes by, and you get another notification. You get a different email. And it says, your assignment notification has been updated. And you're like, that's peculiar, but let me check. Let me see what it says. And it says, we all thought that you were going to X, but we changed our mind and now you're going to B. So all of the people that you thought you were going to be like seeing the next few years of your life, that's gone. It's over. I hope you have their Snapchat and their Twitter, maybe their TikToks, or their number. But you are no longer going there because Big Blue said, boo-hoo, I've changed my mind. So it's something to keep in mind. Let's keep moving. I have some good news for you. I know, it's a different tone of the video, right? Well, here's a good tidbit. In the past, and I say in the past because things can always change, I don't want to make promises, but in the past, they do allow people who are going to be graduating from their tech school within 2 weeks of each other, meaning you are graduating and this person graduates 2 weeks before you, or they happen to graduate 2 weeks after you. If that is your situation with someone who has the same job as you, you guys are able to do a switch swap. So if Ashley is going to, I don't know, Des Moines, Iowa, and then like Charlie is going to Cali, but Charlie is like, oh my God, my family is from Iowa and our dog is sick. And for that reason, I want to be in Iowa to be with my dog for the final leg. And then Ashley is like, that's really unfortunate. I'm sorry in advance for your dog, but I want to be a California girl. So, wonder if we switch. And then Charlie's like, that would mean the most to me and my family. So you guys just walk over to personnel, you do your paperwork thing, you do whatever they need of you, and based on rumors only, it is very rare that they just deny that request. Because they're like, got the same job, you both graduated now, doop-a-doop-doop, done, easy, get out of our office, thank you. So that is an upside. And maybe you will find someone that has a similar kind of alternative desire based on where you guys were assigned, and you two can switch it up. So, all of this is to say is there are a lot of nuances and factors that go into the dream sheet process, but at the end of the day, it is important for you to take your shot and prep whatever bases, assuming you have bases plural to choose from. You know, look at the bases that you have in front of you and create a dream sheet so that you never have to go through the what if I never tried, wonder if I could have got a base I would have liked, but I just wrote some random bases. Also, I don't know why you would include a base that you don't want to go to, because out of nowhere, one of the machine gives you your number 7 pick, and you're like, oh my God, 7 through 10 were just something to fill up the page. I don't want, please no. That also would fall on you. So please kind of put your best foot forward, go into it with good spirit, and I do hope that you get your top preferences, but it's all very random. Also, something, a little sprinkle to keep in mind as well is if you are assigned somewhere you really don't like. Let's say you're a rural person and you don't like cities, and for some reason you get plopped into a base outside of, I don't know, Manhattan, like you're in Brooklyn. And you're like, this is the worst thing that could happen to me. I don't know what to say to you. Just kidding. You know, there are ways you can go away from a city and find quiet. So maybe some national parks or something. But an easier example is, let's say you are more of a city person, more like, you know, let's go out, and you get placed in a base that is far from everything. All I can say is try to be positive. Understand that usually at 4 to 4.5 years, you do get to request a change of station. What are some other things I can say to make this less terrible? You can always see the good in the world around you and indulge in it. And this is me giving myself a speech just in case I'm ever somewhere extremely rural. You can go hiking, skiing, kayaking, all these things. Very exciting. Some take a little getting used to, hiking, but there are options and they're a way to make the most out of the world and terrain around you. Also, there's always Wi-Fi, right? I mean, just download a book or something. You'll be fine. Unless there's no Wi-Fi. Well, okay, I'm sorry. That'd be a really hard world if there was no Wi-Fi. And I just didn't know what advice to give because you wouldn't be watching this video. So, anywho everyone, have a great rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed the video. Also, if you want to see more of this face, you can check me out at michaelinman_ on Instagram or Twitter. I will see you next week, and please, please, please stay safe.